Don't spend any more money on your advertising until you can answer these 3 questions. Look, as someone who's been running an advertising and marketing agency for coming up on 10 years, I've worked with probably somewhere between 300 and 500 clients, ranging from all different shapes and sizes of team sizes as far as revenue goes, also as far as industries go. Some people in e-commerce, some people in professional services, some people local businesses, some people only online. It totally ranges. However, some of those clients absolutely crush it. And some of them, when they turn on ads, it is an absolute nightmare. And here are 3 common denominators, or at least 3 questions that you should be able to ask yourself to figure out if you're actually ready or more probable of actually having a good experience running ads. Okay, so first question, can you operationally speaking handle a new influx of clients on a regular basis? Okay, you want to make sure that if you're going to go through all of the work on testing out ads to see what's going to work, on actually spending the money to acquire clients, you want to make sure that you could actually take on a good few clients at least every single month, ideally every week or maybe even every day. And some clients, if you have a smaller business, you simply can't handle the influx of new business on a regular basis. You might be able to have one new deal that closes and you're going to be all hands on deck making sure that deal is then onboarded properly before you can focus on taking on a new deal. In that case, probably not going to be a good fit to start taking on ads and taking on new clients or at least new leads on a regular basis. You want to make sure that your systems are really dialed in and that your client delivery and fulfillment is really just streamlined and efficient. You want to make sure that obviously as you are onboarding new clients, the sales team can do what they've got to do. They can continue focusing on sales, and the delivery team or the client fulfillment team can continue doing what they need to do, and there's not going to be any breaks. Obviously, this is going to be a dance. This is going to be a little bit of push and pull. You guys need to continue to communicate with each other to discuss what you're actually capable of taking on or what your capacity is for new deals being closed. But if you're in the position where you could really only take on 1 or 2 new deals per month, probably does not make sense to try to run ads to get that to happen. Try to do so organically, and then you could always go to ads whenever you're really trying to take on maybe 5, 10, or more deals per month on a regular basis. Second question, can you financially afford to lose money while you're testing out the ads? Now, when I get this question, I specifically mean from a place of financial surplus. For example, when you are running ads, you're likely going to have to test out new campaigns, multiple different ad audiences, and multiple different ad angles, such as copywriting, as well as different videos or pictures. You have no idea what's going to hit, and you have no idea what won't hit. And so naturally, you're going to waste money acquiring data, letting you know what's working and what's not working. And also when you get calls starting to get booked on the calendar, or when you start having people go into your funnel, not everything's going to convert as well as you would like it to. And so you just want to make sure that you can actually outlast, I would say, at least a couple months of testing before you can actually close a deal. So for example, just from a place of financial specificity, if you are in the place where you can totally afford to spend $2,000 or $3,000 per month testing your ads without actually having to close a deal in the next 30 days, cool, do that. But maybe if your threshold is like, you could spend 2 or 3K comfortably, maybe you could stretch it to 5K, but 5K, like if you don't close a deal within that first 30 days, you're going to be sweating it. Don't spend 5K, okay? Now that number is different for every business. Now I would say I wouldn't even bother going into running ads if you can only spend 3K or less. Ideally, you could at least spend $100 per day. The reason why is because you're not going to be able to acquire enough data to make really wise decisions from that data on a regular basis if you're spending anything less than that. For example, we typically at very, very least will spend $100 per day on any campaign when we're testing it out. And if it doesn't work, we will wait 3 days to make a change because we want to make sure that we have enough data acquired to figure out what needs to be changed. All right. Now, if you're spending, for example, $20 per day and you're trying to wait until you spend $300, that's going to take you about half the month before you have enough data to actually be able to justify making a specific pivot or not. So it really just doesn't make sense to do so. And then in that case, hey, you might spend 3, 4, 5, even 6 months testing things out before anything works. Don't bother in that case. I would just say wait until you could at least spend $100 per day or more. But ideally, obviously, the more that you spend, the more data you'll be able to acquire and the faster you'll be able to move. Also, I feel like this should be a given, but I'm going to say it anyway, just in case. If you will go out of business or be extremely stressed out financially after spending a few grand and not closing a deal, probably not the best time to invest into ads. Maybe you focus on something organically first, so that way you could get some sales, get some profit, and then you could always reinvest into ads later on. Third and final question. Will you still be profitable after you factor in your cost of advertising? Now, I know this sounds obvious, but let's go ahead and actually break down an example. Let's say that you charge $5,000 for your service, and you have to spend, call it $1,000 in advertising in order to get one client to pay you $5K. Now, that sounds good, right? Because that would be $4,000 of net profit, and great, that's 80% profit margin. However, that's not factoring in your cost to deliver on the service. For example, if you have multiple employees, maybe there's hard costs in your business that you have to spend for every single time you sell a unit or sell one of your offers. You need to factor all of that in and make sure that you actually know what is the maximum you're able to spend in order to acquire a client. So for example, the more that you charge, typically the easier it's going to be able to justify advertising spend, right? Because if you only charge, I don't know, $150 for maybe a house cleaning service, and obviously there's a whole lot of time that goes into fulfilling on that, it's not going to be very exciting when you have to spend maybe $150 in order to get a client to pay you $150 or $175 even. Like, there's not much room for leeway there. However, there's one thing to keep in mind, is that not all of your money has to be made on your acquisition. So when you have a client pay you for the first time, that does not mean that's going to be the only time they pay you. So it helps to know your lifetime value of a customer, or LTV. Let's say the house cleaner example. Let's say that you do charge $150. It's not very exciting to pay $150 to go acquire a client. However, if you know that the average client stays with you for well over a year, well, now you have 150 times 12, you suddenly have a little bit more leeway because you know for a fact that you're going to keep that client for longer than a month, and all your profit comes on month 2 through 12, okay? I'll leave you with this last quote in order to drive the point home. The business that can afford to pay the most in order to acquire a client is always going to win. Okay, let's say that you have a competitor that charges 3 times as much as you, and maybe their cost to deliver the service or deliver the product is half as much as you. That means they have way more profit margin in their service. And that means that they can totally afford to pay 2, maybe even 3 times the amount that you'd be willing to pay in order to acquire that client. That means that they're always going to be able to spend more and more and more on advertising, and they're always going to dominate the market. So make sure that if you don't have enough profit built into your service right now in order to justify, spending $500, maybe even $2,000 to acquire a client, and obviously this is a blanket statement, it depends on the style of service you have and what your offer is and really what your market is. If you don't have enough profit margin built in now, try to go rework what your offer is. Ideally, you could maybe add in some bonuses, increase your prices, and ultimately be able to have more profit margin baked into your offer before you go out and start running your ads. Now, if you'd like my team and I's help to actually restructure your offer and get you to the point where you are able to go invest into ads, get way more booked calls in your calendar, be able to close deals on a more consistent basis, all through paid advertising, go ahead and click the link in the description. We even help you rework your offers so that you do have enough profit into your business. Other than that, that's about all for today's video. If you got any value, please go ahead, give it a like on the video, or even better, give the channel a subscribe. That would mean so much to me and does encourage me and support me in continuing to be able to produce more content to help you grow your business. Until next time, I'll see you soon.